Greg Phillips, Australian musician at NAMM 2019, and we're honoured to have the man himself here, Phil Jones. How are you, Phil?
Very, very well, thank you. And thank you for coming by. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. You got something super cool to show us?
I hope so. Yeah, we have a new. A few years ago, I came up with a little headphone preamp to practice with called the Big Head. So I decided it was so popular. Can I improve upon it? So I've come out with the Big Head Pro, which is this one here. And the difference is, a few complaints were that the battery didn't last as long as people wanted. It was a 5-hour drain and it would be dead, This goes about 8 hours, If you're doing 8 hours or more practicing, you better get a life, I think, The difference also is that, the cosmetic, the look. The headphone amp is more powerful, so it's got a little bit more, makes your playing more dynamic, better. And on the back here, we have a line outs. So you have your input line outs, so it can function as a preamp. If you've got an old vintage bass, like a P bass, 59 P bass or something, plug it into this, and it will just change it, transform to an active bass, but sound incredible. The other thing is it has a digital outs, DA/AD converter in. And the original one was 44.1 kilohertz, 16-bit, which is fine. I mean, people used to do symphony orchestras with that a few years ago, so it's more than enough for bass. But if you want perfection, let's go for the absolute best. This is 384 kilohertz, 24-bit digital, which is like as good as it gets. So that's basically in a nutshell. You've got concentric knob here, you've got volume and gain here, and you've got bass and treble here, your headphone here. On-off here, that's on with the light there. It's
a very sturdy looking unit too.
Yeah, and I believe in not just functionality, but things should look good, I mean, I think Leo Fender got that right, So I want to build a beautiful object that functions as a real hard-working tool. And because it's all metal construction, it's not really going to have any damage, It'll last forever.
So in general, what's the starting point for a new product? How do you go about thinking about a new product?
Well, I get a lot of emails from customers, and they tell me what they like. So I take in all that feedback, because they're the most important thing to me is the customer, and I've got to give them what they want, I have my own ideas, but it might not be everybody's idea, and I put together what I think will be a good product for a customer. I mean, sometimes guys say, how about putting a speaker in a backpack so I can go and play bass in the woods? I go, well, maybe you're like the one customer I can sell it to, but nobody else, because I don't need people to go play bass in the woods, So I think really the main goal is, all the product to me is quality. It has to be, number one is the sound. The ruggedness, it's got to take the rigors of the road. It's got to be utterly reliable. You can't go on a gig and find your amp is blown up. But, it's like a cab driver, he's not making money if his car isn't working, So it's got to be absolutely, and the other thing I want to care about is the service, The customer to me is king, That's what I'm able to do what I do because of the customer. And, I'm really grateful that people are buying my amps, That's great, how good can it be, You get to do something you enjoy and you make a living at it,
Do you think it's possible to create the perfect product?
No. Perfection is not attainable, but you can get pretty damn close, the most amazing thing to me is the human ear is so resolute, despite all the advances in technology, the ultimate test at the end is the human ear. I mean, I have all the best sophisticated measuring equipment. I have, laser Doppler interferometers. I have a big anechoic chamber. I have all the best microphones to measure things with. But at the end of the day, if it don't sound right, it ain't right, So that to me is how it is. And I use, in terms of references, I use real instruments. I'm an upright player. I play electric bass. I play a bit of guitar. And I grew up as a young child with a jazz musician father who played in a 20-piece big band in London in the late 50s, early 60s, So that sound was ingrained into me, and that was all acoustic back then, When you hear 10 horns blowing in front of you, there's nothing quite like it, So I always believed in natural sound. I mean, you know, if you have a beautiful sound, you get inspired to play more, and it also makes you play better. It's like playing with better musicians. It elevates you up, and when you play through a better amp, it elevates you up too. I remember when I was very young, and I was like, I don't know, 18 years old, and I was on a gig, and my speaker blew, and it was a very kind other bass player on the gig, and he lent me a speaker, and it was a vintage, it wasn't vintage then, it was new, it was a JBL D140F in a cabinet, a JBL cabinet, and I went, wow, and I just felt like I was in heaven playing, you know, I just played better. People say, wow, what do? You're playing better than ever. I go, because I'm enjoying the sound, you know. So when you enjoy the sound, you play better, and when you play better, the band likes you more, the band sounds better, you know. It's like the bass is the foundation of the band, you know. And, you know, if you've got great bass tone, then the whole band sounds better. You get rid of that mud and everything sounds cleaner, you know. And I've always been a proponent of having great sound, you know. I don't really care about how, you know, like, well, you know, I care about branding, but I put my money into research. So when you buy my product, you can rest assured there's been a ton of development work, a lot of prototyping, a lot of sweat gone into it. We don't just slap a box together, we make our own drivers, we even make our own screws, you know. So if we build a product, you can rest assured, you know, and being British, I like to say it's built like a Rolls Royce, you know. That's me, you know. You know, the most important thing is the music, you know, and, you know, our equipment is a slave to the music, you know.
Well, Phil, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for joining us.
And thank you so much, and I really hope to get back down to Australia again. A great country and a lot of great people. And I'll tell you a funny story. There's a guy who makes bass amps called Wayne Jones.
I know Wayne.
He used to live up the road practically from me in Wales, and I said, it must be the water we drank, you know. But small world, you know. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much.